In 2007, the United States had the highest teen pregnancy rate than any other nation in the world. This was at 42.5 teen pregnancies per 1,000 girls. Coming in second place was the United Kingdom at 26.7%, third place Portugal with 16.7%, and from then on out the rates just get lower and lower, making the United States seem higher and higher. The state of Oregon is doing much better with a pregnancy rate of 28.2. However, Klamath Falls, Oregon is clear up at 49. Statistics like these lead me to believe that what Klamath Falls is experiencing isn't so much of a personal trouble as much as it is a public issue. So what teen pregnancy programs do we have, and how do they compare to the rest of the state, and how do they operate?
The county school district has several high schools within the school district, and those staff members would notify the teen parent program if they knew of any pregnant or parenting teenagers,
Okay.
moms and dads. So they would just call, and then we will go to that school, meet with that student, and then we will provide them with a service plan. And that goes through all of the community agencies that are here to help them. If they're not at Mazama, we encourage them to join our program on the Mazama site.
Okay.
So that would include them transferring, from whatever school that they currently attend to Mazama.
Okay.
And then they're able to be part of our parenting program here. So the majority of other schools, if the students show up and say, hey, I'm a pregnant or parenting mom, they say, great, we'll enroll you, and then here's some daycare services.
Okay.
So.
And you lay out a roadmap for them, so to speak.
Right.
So how important is parental involvement in working with teen pregnancy?
Well, parental involvement is always really, really important. If the parents can talk to their kids at home about sex at an early age, that's great. A lot of parents that I talk to say, how do I talk to my kids about that? Because maybe they were never talked to about that, from their kids, because, social learning theory indicates that we will parent how we were parented. So typically you find that, that's exactly what happens. So if they were never talked to about sex, they're not going to talk to their kids about sex. And somebody else is going to teach it, whether it be the school district or the playground. So
do these girls tend to maintain a relationship with the father, or do they typically split up and go do their own thing?
Typically they stay together for a while.
Okay.
And then they'll even cohabitate together, or maybe get married, but so far I haven't seen a lot of successes staying together long term. After talking to Joni, I wanted to explore how the single parent structure that teen pregnancy creates impacts society. Brian Strong, formerly from the University of California, Santa Cruz, indicated that births to unmarried women is currently on the rise. This increase could be potentially devastating if not handled properly. I understood this after speaking with Dr. Cruz, a marriage and family counselor in Klamath Falls, Oregon. Is it important for the family unit to be intact, and why or why not?
From whose perspective?
Society.
For society.
Yeah.
It is important because there is a link. As a member of a family, I learn how to interact with other people. I learned that either we have a tight-knit group and we work together, or I learn that we're loose and we don't support each other. I carry that with me into the workplace. So I have a loose-knit family, nobody supports me, I don't feel like I have anybody to back me up. I go into the workplace and now that same thing's going to follow. I'm going to have trust issues. I'm not going to feel like my supervisors are going to be there for me. Nobody has ever supported me before. Why are they now? What benefit is it of you to support me? That's going to be my outlook. I think that we're seeing a fractured society very similar to the fractured family values that we have. Since the 50s, we have seen families deteriorate. They don't want to be together. Parents don't want to be parents. Kids want to be adults. Parents find it easier to allow the kids to be adults. So we have a fracturing of the family. We see that being carried into society. So it's very dependent on society to have families being together.
This importance of the family unit to society led me to do a little bit more research. In doing so, I came across a study conducted by Pamela Kohler of the University of Washington. Kohler analyzed teen pregnant girls and different factors in their lives to look for correlations. And one of the correlations that she found was a negative correlation between girls who have ever had a teen pregnancy and having a family unit that is intact. Do you think Klamath Falls has a higher rate of families not being intact than the national norm?
Statistically speaking, Klamath Falls is at the head of all of it, yes. We have a much higher rate of child abuse. We have a much higher rate of divorce and broken families. We have a higher rate of mental illness in the county than the entire northwest of the United States. So all of those factors come into play. We have a higher rate of drug abuse, alcohol abuse. All of those things are part of that broken system. Whereas if families were tighter, a lot of that stuff wouldn't happen. We'd be able to work together. People wouldn't feel the need to turn to alcohol and drugs.
Next, I wanted to see how these statistics were impacting the local government. In doing so, I spoke with Dr. Linda Walker, OBGYN, and Dr. Cruz. Dr. Cruz wanted me to point out that he's apolitical. Do you think this heightened rate of teen pregnancies in Klamath Falls has impacted the healthcare landscape?
I think it has an effect on the Medicaid system.
Okay.
A lot of the moms are under private insurance. Anyone who's pregnant in Klamath Falls gets insurance through either OHP or CCC, which is the state-run plans.
Okay.
So there's not a single pregnant woman who does not have insurance.
And that's something...
That's just across the board.
Okay.
Not just teenagers, but kind of across the board. But a lot of the babies born of these young girls go right into the system because the moms aren't working, or the insurance doesn't go 2 generations down. It just stops at the daughter and doesn't go on to the grandchild.
Okay.
So a lot of the babies go directly into the Medicaid system.
Okay.
And so that adds cost to the area. Also, just from speaking to some of the folks who take care of the babies in town, a lot of teen moms are amazing moms and come to all their appointments, but a lot don't.
Okay.
And so that adds to the system as well because of missed appointments and more urgent care kind of visits. So there's a bit of a financial burden that goes along with it that this area picks up.
Do you think the government has directly recognized this family shift and said, hey, this is a problem, we need to address it? Or are they more so looking at the effects of the consequences or whatever comes of the breakdown and addressing those as opposed to the family unit?
I think certain members within the government probably have acknowledged it and understand that. But as a whole, I don't think local government recognizes it at all. And overall, the federal government, again, I think in parts they have. I think the current president has made statements about it, but does he have the power to do anything about it? Probably not. Should we look for anything to happen? I think we should keep our eyes open and hope, and I think we should take steps where possible to provide it. But I think if we rest our hope on it, we're probably going to be sadly disappointed, and individuals need to take the roles.
After speaking with Dr. Walker and Dr. Cruz, I understood that teen pregnancy is tied to the functions of society. I also knew that it was just one piece to a bigger puzzle. This can be understood by looking at the findings of Brian Strong. He indicates, our culture is still ambivalent about divorce and tends to consider divorce-induced single-parent families as somewhat deviant. It is even less supportive of families formed by never-married mothers. Conservatives have recently returned to earlier forms of stigmatization by characterizing children of never-married women as illegitimate. Because of this harsh social view, I decided to talk to a friend of mine, Kai, whose sister became pregnant when she was a teenager. How did your sister and your family work with teen pregnancy? I know you said it was something your mom was familiar with. Did that help out in...
No.
No, it didn't?
I think that when she initially found out that my sister was pregnant, she was really upset. And there was a nice period where it was like everybody was walking on eggshells because my sister was pregnant. And then my dad actually had a kid when he was in high school. He's my older brother. And my dad was the one who really brought us together.
So what did your sister go through with this teen pregnancy socially?
Okay, so socially, she's a stud volleyball player. She was getting offers in her sophomore and junior year to play at Division I schools. All that got stripped away like that. As far as just the way that I think people in our community kind of looked at her, it was kind of like, oh, he's going to go to some big D1 school now she's staying here and she's going to go to the local college.
Joni wrote had similar observations and insights into how the people of Klamath Falls view teen pregnancy.
Definitely they look down on it. There's a lot of judgment. And the kids have a really hard time navigating a lot of the judgments that they receive. So, for instance, we have kids who have a sick baby and we'll say, okay, you need to call the doctor, make an appointment, the baby needs to go today. They'll call the doctor, we'll say, well, when's your appointment? Oh, it's next Thursday. And we're like, but we said you need to make it today. No, they won't do it. So we have to actually call and say, hey, this is Joni, I'm with the Teen Parent Program and I have a baby that needs to be seen today. So I find that teen parents are not taken seriously. They're looked down upon. They are you look around in a grocery store, you see a kid with a baby, and you're like, oh my gosh, that kid has a baby. But you don't know what they've been through.
In having these discussions with Dr. Cruz, Dr. Walker, Joni, and Kai, I realized that all is not lost for those who have teen pregnancies, and I primarily discovered this at the end of our interviews.
One of our main goals is to create an excellent mom. Okay. And we have a lot of excellent moms. So even though they're young, they can be a good mom with good direction. Okay. And that's something that we really strive to achieve here.
From her experience, she's definitely matured a lot faster, obviously. I can definitely say that she is a good mother, and I think there are a lot of good mothers that are teen parents. Despite all the challenges and hardships that they have to face, a lot of them are really good mothers. They're not just, have a baby and I don't know what else they're doing, but there are a lot of very good teen mothers. I think it really depends on the support that you're giving that particular person. I think that if my family decided, we're not going to talk to her, or, she made a bad decision and didn't give her the support that she needed, it would have been a completely different situation. So, I don't know, all around, it's good now.
I think that as a society or culture is going to continue to degrade, but that does not, by any stretch of the imagination, mean that it's hopeless for individual families. There's a lot of families out there that are still functioning very, very well, obviously. And new families still coming up are going to function very, very well. Blended families will function very, very well. It's up to the individuals. And everything is out there. It's just harder and harder. We're making it more difficult because of these broken families. We're making personality disorders like crazy, which makes it harder and harder. Learned behaviors to be dysfunctional. Once you've learned to be dysfunctional, now to be functional, it's not only learning to be functional, but it's unlearning how to be dysfunctional. And that's going to be really hard for a lot of our current teens right now when they hit their 20s. By the time they get into their second relationship, they've already got kids, but now they're starting to grow up. Now they're fully developed, their brains are developed, and they're doing all right. But at 25, they're in their second relationship and their second round of growing kids. But they can do it. They can do it. It's accessing the right services to learn how to do it right that's going to be tough. But it's all there, and they can do it.